Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Mira Kelly, and we have an amazing conversation today with Taylor for you. We're just talking and covering what we're going to contribute and give you as information. So I know you're going to love every second of this conversation. So I want to give you a little bit of an introduction about Taylor, and then I'm going to invite you to tell us about your passion and your joy in your work. Taylor is an elite matchmaker. So what that means is that you and I could only dream of hiring her so that she can give us the tips and tools and the secrets of her trade. But today we have the absolute amazing ability to tap into her wisdom, to tap into her soul's voice, so we can truly be attuned and inspired to us becoming the match to our dream, the match to our love, the match to the life we dream of having with our partner. So, hi, Taylor, welcome.
Yeah, so nice to see you. Thank you for speaking with me today. So I'm so excited to sort of jump in with you and to be able to tell you a little bit about my work. So I am a matchmaker, and I work mainly with some very high caliber men across the country and some internationally. And it's been my work now for the past 7 years or so. And it's been an amazing journey. I've learned so much along the way. So I've really found over the last many years that the majority of the clients that can come to the matchmaking experiences are men. And I still get lots of inquiries from women all the time asking about tips of the trade, and if there are different price point options that maybe they can jump in without a full matchmaking package. And so that's when I contacted you and Tracy and said, you know what, we've got to come together and create an experience for women that would allow us to give all of our tools and knowledge as matchmakers, and as a spiritual guru, to be able to transform people's relationship experiences for 2020.
You just said something that literally blew my mind. I kid you not. So you just said that the majority of the people that work with, the people who come to the matchmaking experience are actually men. And literally that blew my mind. You know how that there's that emoji with the brain? That's me right now. I'm really surprised to hear this, and I can see how incredibly valuable everything you can offer is, because you come from the understanding of, I'm a woman, I understand women, but I also work with men and I know how to guide them. So I'm really thrilled for us to dive into how do we tune ourselves and become that match to our match. So I would love for you to guide the conversation for us.
Okay, absolutely. So one of the questions that's been coming up since we have launched our event, the Bullseye Love Experience, is, well, how does spirituality have anything to do with matchmaking? And, why would that be a match there? And so it's really interesting because I feel like it has everything to do with finding a partner. So often we have our list of what it is that we want in a person. We can see it, we can feel it, we know it. And we also know what we don't want. And what's really interesting is that rarely do I find, at least when clients come to me, have they taken any time to reflect within themselves to see, well, am I generating a match based on what I'm projecting? So am I the caliber of person, as I stand now, to be a match to what I want? And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that right now, vibrationally, they're maybe not completely aligned with what it is they're seeking. And I've seen it time and time again from this, from this side of the table, where when we finally get to the point where we're doing work on the client themselves, a light bulb switches and everything changes. So now these dates that I've set them up on are not just dates. These are life-changing experiences. Even when the people on the other side of their table are not necessarily their partners, they become great people for their networks, great friends. And then it happens to be always, it happens, it's just a matter of a couple of dates, and then it's the person that they've wanted to meet. And it all was because of the changes that they made within themselves.
Gosh, it makes so much sense, right? As you become the version of you, the client, the person, me, you, everyone, when we become the person, the version that we dream of, right? When we match and align with the life we actually want to have, and who is the person in that life, right? Who lives that life? Of course, you're going to be a match to extraordinary friends, right? Business partners, and of course, the love of your life. It so makes sense to me, and this is really what I see when I work with people as well, right? That's why our work together is such a perfect match. Our separate work is such a perfect match on how we can come together and serve people, because as we attune within, as we remove the blocks within, people become the greatness that is within them, right? What do you notice are the biggest things that you get out of the way for people? What are the obstacles, the internal changes, the boulders that you put to the side so that people can flow?
Well, you just made a great point. You talked about, the blocks, and the first thing that came to my head were the blocks of all the previous relationships. People are coming in with the stories of why things did not work in the past, what they did not like in their partner. And sometimes, as silly as it seems, they're actually bringing this verbally into a date. And even if they're not verbally bringing it, they're bringing the energy. And I'll tell you what about women, what I find, because I usually work with them on the other side of the spectrum, which is they're the people who I'm helping my clients be matched with. They are extremely jaded about the dating process. They'll go on the date, but they have all these opinions about, what could happen, what's probably going to happen. This guy's probably like the rest of the guys. And then that's what you attract. And then you're forever in this cycle. And these are the same women who every January 1st are wondering, is it going to be my year this year?
I literally have chills as you're talking, because you're speaking my own personal experience right now. So before you and I met, years before that, I was married. And somewhere in the middle of the marriage, I started feeling, not my place. I'm ready to move on. But when you're married, you don't just drop the bomb and walk away. You try to work on it. You try to make it work because you made a promise. So it took me a while. And towards the end, I was so focused on what's wrong, what's not working, what I don't like about him, how I wanted to be different. But my focus wasn't a clear focus of, and this is what I want, and ignore everything else, right? Ignore the old stories of not enoughness and how my needs are not met and how I'm not fulfilled. Instead, focus only on what, on what builds, on what brings the positive. So I didn't know to do this. And so guess what happened? As I ended the marriage, I kept on getting into these relationships that were an exact match to what I was putting out there as not enoughness when I was leaving the marriage, right? And so it took me a little bit to figure out what I'm doing. I literally had to wake myself up from this nightmare I had put myself into. And I did, but here's the crazy part. Most of us don't have the ability to see it because we're in the forest, right? And we don't see we're right in the trees, and we don't see the big picture from being in the trees, right? We think that that's how it is, that's how all men are. So I really love that you just basically summarized my experience, but also the experience of every person every woman who is looking for love.
You're right. And it is, as you said, the experience of every person. And something that I'm so excited about is the fact that between the three of us, you, Tracy, and myself, I like that we're bringing our tools, but we also bring a great deal of realism with our own experiences. And so I think a lot of women are going to be able to relate to that. And, to go off of your point, I am married. I've been married for 7 years, with my husband for, longer than that. And it's been very interesting, even being married, because you find that just finding your perfect partner is not the end all be all. It doesn't end there. And I know when you're single, you think, if I find my partner, then we get the house and we get this and everything's fine. But it's a continual work in progress. And there will be times, even once you have your partner, that they do things that don't fulfill you, that may upset you and disrupt you. But it will always come back to you and the work that you're continually doing on yourself, which helps you to be in alignment, to create a better relationship with that person, or if it's time to depart, a better relationship with this ideal that you really do seek. So I think we've all been there. Whether you're in a relationship or you're looking for one, there's no escaping the work that we must do for ourselves. And it's a continual work in progress. And I loved that you just shared what you did, because you're this international best-selling author, you have these celebrity clients, all this great stuff, and even you had to tune yourself into this. And me as a matchmaker, even sometimes when I'm going through things with my husband, I have to tune myself into these things. There's no escaping it.
So very true. What is it that allows you, I want to hear about the magic of you, right? What is it that allows you to tune into the client and hear their soul's voice and unlock them so quickly?
So for me, with my matchmaking practice, it's really been about quality over quantity. So when I started out, I never had this idea that I would be this very big firm that took on copious amounts of people. I always knew that I wanted to build individual relationships. So to give you an idea, in a year's time, I take on maximum 10 clients. And I get to know them so well. I've got here 2 phones, and I've got my, my personal phone and my business phone, and they're texting me all the time because we're friends.
Yes.
And I can relate to them. And when you build this rapport with the clients, you're really able to tap in to get to a really deep place to understand where they're coming from and where they've been. And when you can do that, it really resonates with them, and you can start this journey. So, for example, all of my clients are not, I wouldn't say they're not all spiritual. Some are religious. Some are more into self-help. And so what I find is, regardless of what you label it, we all want to be the best version of ourselves, and how you label it to get there is arbitrary, as long as you're doing the work. And so I find that by having such a small clientele, I'm able to really tap in pretty quickly.
This is incredible. So now you have to spill the beans for us. So I really want to ask you, what is it that, how are men thinking, like what is in their heads when they're looking to find their partner? But maybe before even that question, I want to ask you another question. How does a man arrive at a place of commitment, right? For him to say, I'm ready.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And for me, it also, that question is answered for me on a level that's spiritual. You can answer it from a spiritual level or even a business level of economics, let's say, with the scarcity. Yeah. So this idea that, there are so many women, they're always looking and sort of clamoring to find their person. They feel that their clock is ticking, all these things. These often are really bad energy tactics for getting, securing a partner. It's just kind of too much. And so I find, at least with my clients, the men really like women that are very self-actualized, that are very happy with what they're doing, and are really sure about who they are. And that is so attractive. And this idea that, they can have the partner and that would be great, and they cannot have the partner and that'll be okay too. That type of mentality, I think for my clients at least, really secures this idea of commitment. And then the tides turn, and then it's the men clamoring. but it's never the opposite way, at least in my experience. It'll be interesting what Tracy has to say about that.
Right, because in her experience, she trains women, she teaches women how to have the mentality of meeting the partner. What you just said is so brilliant. Okay, so how do we get a woman to that place of, well, I know from my experience, it always starts with healing the wounds around our relationship with our father or mother, right? Depending on who abandoned us, who made us feel not enough. And so healing that, and then really finding the place of self-love and fulfillment. But I want to hear, what is the journey for you? How would you describe this journey for a woman of saying, I'm self-actualized, whether he's here or not, even though I want him here and I want to have babies? How does she get there?
So as you just described, I think you always go back to the beginning. At least with my clients, when I take them on, we always do an intake process, so to speak. And it goes all the way back to familial history, because it's really important to understand the dynamics of the home when they were growing up and what's going on, because so often we think, oh, everything's fine, but it's a lot of baggage that's being carried even to our relationships now. So I like to talk about that to heal what happened then, and so that we can let it go and realize it has nothing to do with what's happening now. And if we didn't like the way that story played out, we must release it and let it go so that we can now get what it is that we truly want in a partner. So that's one. The other aspect that I'd say is that women need to not be so worried about this ticking clock, because as you're so concerned about it, yes, it continues to tick. But when you release the thought of the scarcity of time, the tides turn again. And suddenly things are happening in a way that really suits you. So I'll give you an example. I have, so last year I took on 2 women clients just randomly. And one of them was in her later 30s, was looking for someone, had some issues with parents and boundaries and all these things. And we were going through the matchmaking process, and she'd go on dates and it would almost be, it was almost the match. It almost worked, but there was something that just wasn't right. And then we got to a point where I said, look, let's just talk about the family stuff. Let's heal that. Let's not carry that here. What is it that you want in a partner? And we made a list of what she wanted. And I told her that it was really important to feel it and to have that resonate within herself, what it would be like if the person was there and what the dynamic would be like. And so when she was going to family gatherings and she didn't have a partner and her sister had a partner and a baby, well, we're not going to get into that. We're going to feel like our partner's here. And what does he look like? And what does this feel like? And believe me, within a month's time, I ended up setting her up. This is her partner. They're talking about getting engaged. They've only been together now 7 months.
Wow.
And this is like, this person was made for her and her for him. Incredible. And it's so incredible to the point that I was driving in the car with my husband, and she sent me a text a couple of days ago, and she said, I thought of you. I just wanted to say this is our 7th month anniversary. Thanks so much for setting us up. And tears started coming down my face. And my husband said, what's going on? It really resonates with me because it was all within her this whole time. We just had to unlock that. And so for women who think that, the time aspect, okay, now we've got to have a courtship that's a year. Then we have to be engaged for another year. Then it's going to take 9 months to have a baby. That's if it happens on our honeymoon. All these things. Let it go. I mean, we're talking about a woman who was able to find the man of her dreams within, a month after she did this work. And now 7 months in, we're talking about an engagement. Gotta let go of all that. So that's my long answer.
Oh my God. Honestly, I'm thinking everyone is now saying to themselves, I want to work with her. I want to be there. I want this for myself, right? I want to be unlocked. I want to be liberated from myself so I can live my dream, right?
Right.
We got to tell people how to come to this event and how to dive into it. So we're thinking of doing thinking is the wrong word. We are doing this in November. Yes. So please tell us about the details.
So the details are we're at Wanderlust in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
and November 9th and 10th, we're coming together for 2 days for a complete immersion, as we call it. So you're with us for 2 days. We're going to have workshops, question and answer sessions. We've even secured a panel of men that are going to tell you what it is they're seeking in a partner, the things that they like that women do when they're on dates and not. All this great insight. And we've got a few other guest speakers that are surprises. And so we're going to do that for 2 days. And then after, we'll follow up for an additional 2 months' time where we will work on everything that we've been talking about, build on, other techniques and tools. So now as you're going out in November, before everyone else, January 1, you're able to start implementing everything that we've learned. And my favorite part about this is the fact that, we all have gone to conferences and we leave and then it's over and we don't know, okay, well, what did they say and how do we handle this? How does it apply to this situation? Well, we're with you for 2 more months as you're, charting the waters and diving in. So that's just amazing. But the part that I feel that's priceless is we're talking about a group of other women who have been in the room with you for 2 days, who know exactly what you're going through and who want to succeed just like you do. So the idea of forming these friendships and bonds to help each other, stay accountable, be motivated, and have the confidence that it's going to take on this journey of finding love in 2020. I'm really excited. So you could go to bullseyeloveexperience.com to get a ticket, also Eventbrite. And we're just so excited about this. It's going to be incredible.
Truly is. I love the venue, Wanderlust in Hollywood. And also this time of year in LA, in Los Angeles, is really magnificent.
Really?
And and like you said, the environment of what we present people it's really going to be nothing short of life-changing. And I really love how we've set up everything as a way of not just in the moment transforming, but then the continuous accountability, the work, just like what you do with your clients and what I do with my clients, right? Honestly, a part of me that resonates with everyone who's listening, right? The client side of me is thinking, I gotta be there. This will be amazing. I think this will literally change my life and set me up on course so that in 2020, and what a magical number, right? 2020, it'll be an extraordinary year. It will be my year, right? That's what
Yes.
I feel people saying. This is my year to show up in my life and really live the life I want to be living with the man I want to be with.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And so I want to ask you, because of this panel of men, I want to ask you, what are because you were saying that a self-actualized woman is really what becomes so attractive, and then the guy clamps up and says, this is where I belong, this is my partner. I want to ask you if you have any other secrets, and anything else you can share with us on what makes a woman irresistible? What is in that self-actualized, right?
Absolutely. So one of the things I think is so important is that we become what it is that we're seeking. And I've said that a few times, but okay, I'll give you an example. As women, we talk about, okay, we'd like a guy who's financially stable. And he, is doing great things in his career, or he has ambition, whatever that is. And he is social and he's got friends, and then we can all get together, these things. So as a woman, you need to do those things that you want. And so for my clients, they often say they want a guy that's very social so that they can come together. And so I say, Well, what's your friend group like? Oh, and maybe it's just a handful of people. Okay, well then let's go out to some groups and let's network and let's create a bigger friend circle. Okay, so what are your finances like? Maybe they're not exactly what you want them to be now. That's okay. Let's create a plan of action so that we can create that scenario, which is the same one that you want to attract. And this idea that, a woman is totally encompassed with just finding a partner is less than sexy. So I always tell women, if you're not in a hobby now, if you're not doing something that you're passionate about, find one. Get involved in something, do something, and make that, a focal point of your free time. And that's very attractive and alluring. So those are just a couple of the secrets that I always share.
I really love that your work combines the spiritual aspect, in other words, the inner work, but also there's a few other aspects in terms of how we look, how we get dressed, right? I would love for you to address that as well, because it's not just the inner environment, right? The inner environment gets expressed on the outside as well.
Absolutely. So there has never been in the history of my matchmaking practice a female client that has come to me and not needed styling services. It's never happened. But it's also never happened that any of those women thought that they needed it. But there's this idea that it's really important to present yourself well, to be feminine. And that's something Tracy will talk a lot about. That's important. A lot of the women who come to a matchmaker, they're very successful in their careers, and that's fantastic. That's not getting the guy, ladies. That alone is not getting the guy. So you need to show up feminine and sexy and alluring, and you can't go too far on one end of the spectrum, and you can't go too far on the other. So there's a nice medium. And again, I've never had anyone come to me that I think has found that just right. And for the women, I often get, well, that's going to be expensive, getting a whole new wardrobe. How do I do that? And so what I focus on is finding several staple pieces that we can have to transition with different items and accessories to create new looks. And then that changes everything. And that's a fraction of the cost of anything that they thought that they would have to spend in the first place. So that's going to be a must. I'll give you another example. I've had clients that have come and they didn't know how to apply makeup or how to do a blowout or how to do any of these things. And I said, okay, well, let's go take a makeup class. And so then I sent them to a class and they spent 2 days with the makeup artist and now they know how to apply makeup flawlessly. These simple things. And it makes all the difference because you want to show up in your best light. And that is going to be important because often you do get the one impression and it ends or begins there most of the time.
You're speaking truth to my heart. I'm saying within me, yes, yes, yes. And as I'm listening to you, a question comes in mind. So you and I matched in the work is that I help women overcome rejection and abandonment within themselves so that they attract their true love. And so when I work with women, here's the question I hear the most, and I would love to hear what you would say about this. And the question is, I don't want to do online dating. I've been jaded before. It's such an experience. And I want to meet Mr. Right. But of course, nobody's walking through my living room, right? If they were, I would have already been in a relationship. So what are your thoughts and your advice on online dating?
Okay. So I would say the online dating is not the problem. Usually the people behind the profiles are. And that won't be a popular thought, but here it is. I think that the way that men and women present themselves in online dating is at best horrific. If you look at the profiles, there's no sense of who these people are. They're done and written very poorly. Nothing that you would ever present with an English term paper to any community college. And so it's just not presented well. And so either it's not presented well or it's an overinflation of what the truth is. And then someone shows up to the date and you're thinking, this picture's 5 years old and you have made up half of this. Or you never even get to meet that person on a date in the first place because they didn't articulate who they were well enough. So I think for women, if you can't afford matchmaking, then okay, it might make sense to do something like an online profile review. So Tracy and I do that. We look at online profiles and help write them and review them. And that's very helpful and something very, affordable and reasonable. But if you can't do that, then I say if you don't like online dating at all, then this event is even more beneficial because we're teaching you the tools that you can present in a room. You can show up to a happy hour, a networking event, and now people are magnetized to you because of the energy that you're putting out, the styling tools we've talked about, all these things. And it comes together as a complete package. I often find that online dating is a way that people who are uncomfortable getting out there into the world, they kind of hide behind that because it's safer to have the rejection happen with the decline on an online profile. But if you handle everything we're talking about, you can go out there and you could meet someone in person. And not at the grocery store, but at an event.
Right. The location doesn't really matter, is what you're saying. What matters is how we approach it, right? What we put out there and how clear we are with our voice and our intention.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if you have anything else you would like to share with us, anything else, because honestly, I feel like your mind is gold. Your experience is absolutely a treasure to dive into. So I'm thrilled for the women who will be joining us for this experience because they will have such an immersion into everything you teach, and what a gift that will be to ourselves. But before we end this conversation, I wonder if there's anything else that you say, this is important, please listen.
So I think it's important to create a plan of action. It's wonderful to have the idea that in 2020, you're going to change the game and you're going to find the love of your life. But if we don't have a plan of action, that's going to be pretty hard to pull off. We'll probably be in the same place at this time next year. Yeah. So you've got to create goals and a list of things you're going to do, whether it be something in each category. It might be, so spiritually, I am going to meditate to get myself in alignment every day with what it is that I want to attract. I'm going to write down the qualities that I want in a partner. Okay, in terms of style, I am going to go to the sale at Nordstrom's and find a couple of staple pieces that I can put in my closet and get rid of the things that I know just don't work. Okay, maybe I'm going to adhere to a wellness plan. I know that I've been eating a lot of junk and I want to change that so that my body can be in alignment. These things are very small, but together create a wonderful package and a game-changing plan. And if you have an action plan, then you can be held accountable. But the most important thing I'd want to say before we leave is that I don't want women to give up hope, because there's someone out there for you. There's no time. The timing doesn't matter. And as soon as it does not to you, everything will work out. But you've got to put a plan together. We've all been there. I've been on lots of dates. I've had lots of experiences, as have we all. And we're on the other side of it now. And there's a great happy ending.
Wow, that really resonates with me. So very true. Stay with your hope, keep your eye on the goal, and do all the things you know you gotta do, and do all the things that will get you to the goal. Absolutely amazing. I'm really thrilled to be with you in person in November, and for us to teach this event, and for us to be with the women whose lives will undoubtedly change
Absolutely.
truly open them up and teach them how to become the dream, right? The dream that their soul has dreamt, that deep desire for connection and oneness and deep relationship with their partner and growing the family that they dream of, right? So I'm absolutely thrilled for this experience. It's truly going to be hitting the bullseye and unlocking and feeling like I can do this, right? Overcoming the fear of it's never going to happen to me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get there. And we have the tools. We're going to teach them everything they need to know and to feel that it's happening to me, right? Can you imagine the celebration? How
Oh,
many messages you and I will be receiving from everyone saying, it's happening, I'm doing it, he's here.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I'll be happy to share our story at the event of how Mira and I first connected and the impact that she made on my life. And it's just incredible. So I know she'll be just wonderful to you all at the event as well.
Thank you, my love. Um, I would love for once more to invite people and to let them know how to come and join us. So it's the bullseyeexperience.com.
It's the Bullseye Love Experience,
Love experience.
bullseyeloveexperience.com, and it's also on Eventbrite. Get your tickets. We have an early bird special right now. So sign up before the price goes up. We'd love to have you there.
And so we start on November 9th. That's our takeoff date. So please join us for that. And I cannot wait.
Okay. So nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Taylor. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.